Songs of a Lost World is the 14th studio album from The Cure, and they're first in 16 years. It's been quite a while since we got a record from the famous group. Of course, lots of hits: Lullaby, The Love Cats, Friday I'm in Love, the list goes on. They have a lot of fantastic songs, were pioneers in their time. But they're back, and Robert Smith, has completely composed and sung this album himself. He produced it with Paul Corkett, who worked on their album, on The Cure's album Blood Flowers. It's also the debut of Reeves Gabrels as the new guitarist. And the majority of this project was actually recorded back in 2019, which is quite interesting, because it came out 5 years later. This is quite a depressing listen. It's a mixture of space rock and gothic rock. Feels like Smith's Black Star album, where he's sort of reflecting on his life and morality and his relationship and all sorts. But yeah, it's quite a dark and deep listen. The lead single alone is the first track. It's this atmospheric and spacey rock music that builds up for almost 3.5 minutes. A lot of the tracks on this record, they have a lot of build up. It's why, despite only being 8 tracks long, this album is almost 50 minutes long. And you get these wailing guitars and these quaint orchestra elements, and then eventually Smith comes in and he's as good as ever vocally. Some older artists tend to lose it, Smith has not. And yeah, this song's it's a metaphor really for death, the end, things coming to an end, whether it be life or the relationship he's in. But yeah, it's a good start to the record. We then get And Nothing Is Forever, led predominantly by the piano. It's got more orchestral elements again. It's somehow more melancholic than the track before it, but the guitars give it a bit of energy. Again, quite a lot of build-up. But then Smith comes in and he talks about wanting to be with this person to the end, and these echoing ad-libs in the background feel like it's his memories or from beyond the grave, I'm not quite sure. A lyric sticks out to me as the memory of the first live in the stillness of a teardrop, as you had none for the last time in the dying of the life. That lyric just sticks out to me because it's a reflection on love and life and how precious it is, but also how it slips away from you and goes before you know it. It's depressing, I can say that, but the Cure wants to know how to do that. A Fragile Thing, it's got this more emotive piano to it. It's got this strumming of the guitar, giving it this ballady, rocky edge. There's also these glistening chimes on the chorus. They're a nice touch. But again, Smith's partner in this feels sorrow and regret for the time they've spent alone, the time they've spent apart, lamenting on sort of that last time together. It's a reflection on sort of an elderly couple knowing that the end is coming, but regretting things that didn't happen. It's very, very sad. It's very bleak, but it's great. It's great music. War Song has this really deep held note on the piano that sort of has your attention and sort of takes the track forward. It brings atmosphere. There's also this lovely plucked harp as well, and the scraping of the guitar strings really sort of sets in place that emotive and sort of bleak nature of the track. It's reflecting on all the stuff that's not gone wrong in the relationship, and a lyric that sticks out to me is, I want your death, you want my life. That's a really poignant, very striking lyric in my opinion. this album is a listen. Drone No Drone is the only track on the record that, I don't know, there's just something about the production that doesn't quite hit. It's got these like wailing electric guitars, this spacey ethereal keyboard, these like 80s synths. It feels like a blend of sort of the old Cure and the new Cure. As I said, it's interesting, but it feels a bit out of place on the record. He's emphasising his memory fading and not remembering where he's been or like what he's done. I don't know whether it's alcohol or whether it's like dementia. I think lyrically the track's quite interesting and they're sort of reflecting on not knowing what's going on in his life, but something about the production just doesn't quite click. I Can Never Say Goodbye is a really sad and upsetting track. It's about not being able to sort of deal with and trying to live on despite his brother's death, which has really hit him. It's got this ballady piano sound, there's like rainfall in the background at the start, this like quiet synthy keyboard. It's a really sad track, and you really hear the emotion and the pain that Smith has experienced here, and it makes for probably the most important moment on the record. The penultimate track, All I Ever Am, you've got this like pounding drum beat and this atmospheric electric guitar is all that wow that really sort of drives the production forward. It's reflecting on what's gone wrong in his life and what will come after death. Like as he says, my weary dance with age and resignation moves me slow toward a dark and empty stage where I can sing the world I know. He doesn't know what's next, and it scares him, it terrifies him, and sort of his reflections and what's to come, it gives him sorrow and pain. And then we conclude with End Song, which has got this like drum pattern. It's like a rhythmic call to arms in a way. The pace picks up in the second half of the track, but there's also this wailing keyboard, like one note's been held down to emphasise this like 80s guitar sound, and like for almost 7 minutes you just have the instrumental. But then Smith comes in and again he's reflecting on life, what will become of him. The loves are gone, he feels like he's got nothing left, and it ends with electric guitar note fading away into the background and just the sound of the speaker. And it's quite simple but straight to the point end, but I think it reflects the album quite nicely. Overall, I think this album suffers slightly from sounding a bit similar in terms of its production, but this is a really good album. I think it's poignant, it's emotional, it's a very interesting reflection on life and morality and regret and what's to come next. And I think Robert Smith's done a really good job here, and it's made the wait well worth it. Overall, I'd give this record a pretty strong 8 to an 8.25 out of 10. Really enjoyable. Go give it a listen.